Working the night shift at a gas station can be boring, but sometimes it can be terrifying. Isolated roads, strange customers, and things that can't be explained. Tonight, I'll share with you real experiences from people who live through the unexplainable while working alone in the dead of night. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready, because these stories are not for the faint of heart. My name is Junior, and I used to work the night shift at a gas station off a lonely stretch of highway. It wasn't one of those big chain stations with bright lights and security cameras. It was small, old, and barely maintained, sitting between long miles of nothing but trees and darkness. The kind of place truckers stopped at out of necessity, not choice. When you work nights at a place like that, you get used to weirdos. Drunks, tweakers, and the occasional lost soul looking for directions. But nothing prepared me for what I started experiencing after a few months on the job. The first time something strange happened, I brushed it off. It was around 2 a.m., and I had just finished restocking the fridge when I noticed movement outside. We had one pump under a flickering overhead light, and standing just beyond its reach was a man. He wasn't getting gas. He wasn't walking toward the store. He was just standing there, staring at the building. I tried to ignore him, but after a few minutes, my nerves got the best of me. I stepped outside, the cold air making my breath visible. "Need some help?" I called out. The man didn't respond. He didn't move. I couldn't see his face clearly, just the outline of his body in the dim light. Something about him felt wrong. Like he wasn't supposed to be there. I went back inside, locking the door behind me. When I glanced out the window, he was gone. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear a car. Just silence. That was only the beginning. A week later, I was taking out the trash behind the building when I heard whispering. It was faint, like someone was talking just under their breath. I turned my flashlight toward the trees, but there was nothing there. The whispers continued, but the moment I stepped back inside, they stopped. I checked the security monitors. The cameras were grainy and old, but they covered most of the station's perimeter. Nothing. No movement, no people. I rewound the footage, thinking maybe I had imagined it. But as I played it back, I saw something that made my stomach drop. There was a shadow near the tree line, just beyond the reach of the station's light. Not a person. Just a black shape, shifting slightly, like it was breathing. And then, in the next frame, it was gone. I didn't tell anyone. Who was I going to tell? My boss? The few customers who stopped in during the night? The worst came a month later. I was in the back storage room, stocking shelves, when I heard the front door chime. I hadn't seen any cars pull up, but I grabbed my notepad and walked out, ready to help whoever it was. The store was empty. The door was closed, locked. I checked the cameras. The door had opened, but nothing had come inside. No wind, no animals, nothing. But as I stared at the footage, my blood ran cold. There was a shape in the reflection of the glass door. A tall figure, too thin, with long arms hanging at its sides. It had no facial features, just a smooth, dark surface where its face should have been. And it was looking right at the camera. I quit the next morning. People think gas station night shifts are boring, that all you deal with is the occasional drunk or a guy paying for cigarettes. But there are things out there in the darkness, watching. Waiting. I don't know what I saw that night. I don't want to know. But I know this, I'll never work a night shift again. Story 2. My name is Chris, and I used to work at a gas station on the edge of a small town. The kind of place where nothing ever seemed to happen, but the silence of the night carried something unsettling. Most of my shifts were uneventful, serving the occasional trucker, cleaning up coffee spills, restocking shelves. But one night, something happened that I still can't explain. It was around 3 a.m. when a man walked in. He was tall, wearing a hooded jacket, and he moved strangely, too stiff, almost unnatural. He didn't look at me when he entered, just walked straight to the back of the store. "Need any help?" I asked. No response. I watched him through the security mirror above the register. He was just standing in the last aisle, facing the shelves, not touching anything. After a few minutes, I cleared my throat and asked again. Still nothing. I don't know why, but my stomach started twisting into knots. I've dealt with plenty of weirdos before, but something about this guy felt wrong. I took a step out from behind the counter. "Sir?" He turned his head slightly, just enough for me to see part of his face. His skin was too pale, almost gray. His eyes were sunken, dark, but wide, too wide. Like he was forcing them open. A shiver crawled up my spine. And then he smiled. It wasn't a normal smile. His lips stretched too far, his teeth too small, too even. I don't know how else to describe it, but it didn't look human. My throat went dry. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run. I forced a nervous chuckle. If you need anything, let me know." I backed toward the register, never taking my eyes off him. He didn't move. Just kept standing there, grinning. Then, without warning, the lights flickered. For half a second, everything went dark. When the power returned, the man was gone. The store was empty. I rushed to the door, looking outside. The parking lot was deserted. No cars, no sound, nothing but the dull hum of the fluorescent lights. I checked the security cameras, my hands shaking. The footage showed him entering. Walking to the aisle. Standing there. And then. One frame, he was there. The next, he wasn't. I rewound the video over and over. No movement. No blur. Just gone. I quit the next day. Some people say there are things out there that look like us, but aren't us. Things that slip into our world when no one's looking. I don't know what I saw that night. But I know it wasn't human. Story 3. My name is Richard, and I worked at a 24-hour gas station in the middle of nowhere. It was one of those places where the road stretches for miles without a single house, just forests on either side. I didn't mind the isolation at first, until one night made me realize I was never truly alone out there. It was a slow shift, barely any cars stopping by. The only sound was the hum of the refrigerators and the buzzing of the old neon sign outside. Around 2:30 a.m., I stepped outside for a smoke. The cold air bit at my skin, and the sky was pitch black, no moon, no stars, just darkness swallowing everything beyond the dim station lights. That's when I noticed it. Across the road, just past the tree line, stood a figure. Too far to make out any details, but close enough that I knew it was watching me. It wasn't moving, wasn't shifting its weight, just standing there, a shadow against the deeper blackness of the woods. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. "Hey! You all right?" I called out. No answer. No movement. I took a step toward the edge of the parking lot, squinting. The figure seemed wrong. Not like a person. Its shape was human-like, but slightly off, its arms too long, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. I turned to go back inside, but the second I reached the door, the motion sensor light above the pump flickered on. I spun around. The figure was gone. I scanned the tree line, my pulse hammering. Nothing. just empty road and endless dark forest. Shaking it off, I locked the door behind me and checked the security monitors. The cameras weren't great, but they covered the pumps, the entrance, and the back alley. I rewound the footage, trying to see where the figure had gone. And that's when I saw something that made my stomach drop. The cameras had caught me standing outside, smoking. They had caught me turning toward the road. But there was no figure. I watched myself on the screen, staring at nothing. Calling out to no one. I rubbed my eyes, rewound again. The same thing. I was reacting to something that wasn't there. But I saw it. I knew it was there. A loud thump came from the storage room. I nearly jumped out of my skin. I wasn't alone. Heart pounding, I grabbed the baseball bat we kept under the counter and crept toward the back. The storage room door was slightly open, the light inside flickering. I hesitated, then pushed it open. Nothing. Boxes stacked against the walls, shelves full of snacks and supplies. The back door was locked, just like I had left it. Then, I saw them. On the dusty concrete floor, leading from the door to where I stood, were footprints. Not from shoes, bare feet. Long, slender, and wrong. The toes were too long, the shape too thin, almost skeletal. The room was empty. I locked the storage door and spent the rest of my shift behind the counter, my eyes darting between the security feeds and the front entrance, waiting for something, anything, to explain what I had seen. Morning came, and I quit on the spot. I don't know what was out there that night. I don't want to know. But sometimes, late at night, when I close my eyes, I still see that figure standing at the edge of the trees. Watching. Waiting. And I pray it never comes closer. Some things in this world can't be explained. Shadows that move when no one is there, whispers in empty rooms, and figures that vanish without a trace. For those who work alone at night, the fear isn't just in their minds, it's real. If you've ever experienced something strange, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Stay safe, and be careful next time you stop at a gas station after dark.